Meeting to order. Tonight, we're going to be led in the prayer by, the pledge by Mr. Latony Murray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. If we could, for just a moment, have a moment of silence. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to, as I said the other night, it looked like it's our last work session for this year, and this will be our last meeting unless we have a special call or anything between now and the end of the month. So I'd like to welcome everyone here. I trust everybody's looked at the agenda and consent agenda, so approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Fryer and a second by Mr. Young. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Eakes and a second by Mr. Jernigan. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I believe we've got one visitor tonight, Miss Laura Minchie. Is that correct? If you want to, come up to the podium here and I'd like to welcome you here and we try to limit it to 3 minutes. So if you can work within that guidelines, it'd be good.
All right, thank you. Again, my name is Laura Minchie, and I actually have a letter I'm just going to read because I want to be good with your time and make sure I get everything that I would like to say said. This past May, my family and I had the joy of returning to Rutherford County upon my husband accepting the position of Director of Missions for the Concord Baptist Association. The Concord Baptist Association is made up of 62 Southern Baptist churches in the Rutherford County area. The reason I am here before you this evening is to make you aware of an idea I plan to share with the ministers' wives of the churches mentioned above. Rutherford County has 46 schools or more, and more are being added each year. It is my desire to encourage the Southern Baptist churches of the Concord Baptist Association to begin praying for each school in their respective geographic area. What they choose to do beyond that is up to each church. Some of our churches are already serving area schools with after-school tutoring and other offerings of support and assistance. It is my desire to see the churches of Concord Baptist Association support the students, teachers, administrators, and staff of our county schools, and this would be the first step in that direction. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to make you aware of what we are doing, what I'm going to try and lead our churches to do. And also, I would like to know, I would like to get your support, but also I would like to find out if there are any guidelines that we need to be aware of in doing that.
Mr. McLeod?
I'll be glad to talk with her after the meeting and give you some direction about how you go about getting information approved to send out and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Ms. McLeod, she's our staff attorney here, so
Okay.
she ought to be able to answer your questions.
Okay, great.
Any board members have any questions?
You can always use prayer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate your enthusiasm and being here tonight. Look forward to meeting you and working together.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Number 7, Mr. Oler.
Number 7, I'm pleased tonight to introduce to you the new Stewart's Creek Middle School principal, Mr. Latony Murray. Mr. Murray, would you step forward a little bit, please? We're glad to have him. He's coming to us from assistant principal at Laverne High School. He's served middle school before. I was asking him tonight, his numbers are up a little bit. I was seeing that already. But we're glad to have you heading up Stewart's Creek Middle School.
Congratulations, I know you'll be outstanding.
Hope he's getting off to a good start.
You would know.
All right. Number 8.
Number 8 is an old business item, is cheerleader coach sponsor certification. At the request of board member Mr. Holliday, the Rutherford County Schools guidelines and safety procedures have been reviewed. Rutherford County Schools Athletic Director Tim Tackett met with a representative group of current cheerleader coaches from both the middle and high school levels. A follow-up meeting was held with Mr. Odom, Mr. Sandvig, and Ms. McLeod. The following recommendations are the results of these meetings. Number 1, all cheerleader coaches sponsors will be an AACCA certified by October 15th, 2014. Request that the school board pay the $75 certification fee for up to 2 coaches for the next 2 years. Each certification is valid for a 2-year period. After the time period, the cost will be incurred by the individual schools. The AACCA cheer safety rules shall be distributed to every cheerleading coach, sponsor, principal, assistant principal, and athletic director at each school to advance enforcement. All cheerleader coaches and sponsors shall follow the TSSAA rule pertaining to online rules, meeting available in the fall, typically in September. The immediate environment for all activities shall be taken into consideration prior to the performance of any skill during the practice games, competitions, or other performances. If a suitable and safe location is unavailable for tumbling, partner stunts, pyramids, jumps, etc., then activities must be ground bound. All cheerleader coaches, sponsors shall follow Tennessee law in regards to concussions, including signed documents as required. And when tryouts are completed and the squad has been selected, all cheerleaders shall be given the opportunity to participate in the Impact Baseline Testing Program provided by Rutherford County Schools. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the Rutherford County Schools cheerleader guidelines and safety procedures as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Holliday and a second by Mr. Blair. Any further discussion on this?
I wanted to welcome 2 members of our community that are with us this evening for this board meeting and the decision. Ms. Jerry Griffith, representing Elite Energy Gymnastics, and Mr. Lerone Major, who his friends call him Ace, with Premier Athletics of Murfreesboro. Both of these organizations are gyms that assist some of our cheerleading squads in off-site training. And I had the opportunity with another board member to go and tour one of these and found a whole lot of good things to be proud of. I've also had conversations with them about the manner in which they interact with the families, both in a planning, scheduling kind of characteristics, as well as the financial obligations. So it's by no small measure the additional support that these folks offer to our cheerleading squads that we're able to get the national championship cheerleading squad in Rutherford County, as well as several college scholarships for cheerleading out of our student body.
Anybody else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. B.
I might say to the people that watch us on television, the board, like that particular motion, we had a work session Tuesday evening, and so the board went over every item on this agenda, and actually the one with the cheerleaders has been since, started talking about it last spring, and so there's been kind of updates all along in the second board meeting we've considered for this one. The B part is Rutherford County Schools Strategic Plan. At a specially called meeting on August 5th, 2014, Director of Schools Don Odom and staff members presented a proposed 2014-15 strategic plan for Rutherford County Schools. After much discussion and suggested changes, the board requested the revised plan be on the next school board meeting agenda for potential adoption. The motion to recommend approval, motion to approve the revised 2014-2015 Rutherford County Schools strategic plan as presented.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Mr. Young, and a second by Mr. Holliday. Any further discussion on this?
I'm pleased that we have had quite a bit of discussion, and
We have.
it certainly is a workable and living plan to make changes as they occur or corrections as need be. So I'm grateful and pleased for all the work that you and the staff and the board has put into this, Mr. Odom.
I think it's also outstanding that where we've done so well in capital improvement projects, giving our funding body, the county commission, advance notice on financial needs that the system may have. This document allows us to, give a holistic perspective on a 5-year or even beyond that perspective for what the needs of the system may be. It's important as we compare ourselves to other systems and as we benchmark toward higher achievement in the future, that we know what it's going to cost.
Anyone else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 9.
Number 9, the first one is an information only. This is a general purpose school fund balance update. General purpose school fund unassigned fund balance as of July 1st, 2014 was $15,189,914, or 4.95% of our approved $306,688,721 2014-2015 budget. We had to use $11,681,880 of our fund balance to fund the 2014-2015 general purpose schools budget. The state minimum fund balance requirement is 3%. We are 1.95% or $5,989,252 over the minimum requirement. However, we need to plan on using most, if not all of this, $5,989,252 in order to fund next year's GPS budget, since we have been relying on fund balance to help fully fund our GPS budget. The 2013-2014 revenues were $295,427,507, which is $5,775,130 more in revenues than our original budget. $4,097,685 was in various local revenues. $1,870,499 in sales tax, and $1,488,610 in various property taxes. $1,355,000 of the increase was state growth BEP funds. The 2013-14 expenditures were, after closeout, $294,166,082, or 2.8% less than our amended budget.
Mr. Odom, I meant to ask this question Tuesday night. Does this include the $800,000 that we're short in the revised tax rate? Does that encompass that?
No, it would not.
Would not?
It would not. And remember, they're not going to vote to change the individual budgets. I think what Mr. Sanders was saying to us, they thought that the revenue changes through the year would handle it. I think literally if they change their budget now, they have to go back to public hearings and everything over again. So in a normal year, the revenue should cover that adjustment. So that's my understanding. Correct, Mr. Sanders?
And if you look at the effect of that adjustment, had it been reflected in our budget, we'd be at about a 4.6% fund balance instead of 4.95.
Still well above the 3 required, so.
Very good.
Go
Okay.
B.
B is Capital Projects Fund 177 Amendment for Ongoing Projects. Each year, all outstanding purchase orders in the Capital Projects Fund are liquidated on July 1, and the unexpended amounts for these ongoing projects revert to fund balance. This amendment effectively sets up the unexpended funds that were on these closed purchase orders as of June 30th, 2014, and allows the engineering department to complete those projects. This year's amendment covers 4 unfinished projects for a total of $470,570. They are the Eagleville Sewer at $207,400, the Blackman Roof at $144,400, Riverdale and Oakland Gym Seating at $25,500, and the Blackman Elementary Chiller at $93,270. Recommend approval. Motion to amend $470,570 from committed for capital projects in order to complete the 2013-2014 projects as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Blair and a second by Mr. Nipper. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. C.
Still continuing financial, this is the school activity funds, accounts payable and receivable. Each year, the school board must approve the accounts payable and receivable for each of the school activity funds that had outstanding accounts payable, $5,088.67, or accounts receivable, $7,110.92 at the end of the fiscal year. These are all routine school business transactions that relate to the 2013-14 school year. They could not be closed out by June 30th, 2014 because additional documentation was needed before a bill was paid or the school was waiting on a payment. Recommend approval. Motion to approve the 2013-2014 accounts payable in the amount of $5,088.67 and accounts receivable in the amount of $7,110.92 for various school activity funds presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Nipper and a second by Mr. Holliday. Any further discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 10.
Number 10 is the fingerprint clerk salary schedule change. Rutherford County employs 2 part-time fingerprint clerks to manage our fingerprint office. This is a partnership with Morpho Trust and Rutherford County Schools. Rutherford County Schools is paid $2 for every print completed, which covers the cost of the 2 part-time salaries. We currently pay the 2 clerks minimum wage, $7.25 per hour. But because of the large workflow through the office, our incoming revenue is more than our salary expenditure. Recommend approval. Motion to increase the salary to level 1 on the classified salary schedule, $10.42 an hour, to ensure a more stable workforce for that office.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Nipper and a second by Mr. Eakes. Any further discussion on this? Mr. Holliday?
It was necessary in May for me to get fingerprinted, and so I went over to the fingerprint office and scheduled that appointment. Had the pleasure of having that done by Mr. Max Stacy, who passed away since then, but was our attorney, Angel McLeod's father-in-law. And I asked Mr. Stacy when I was there with him for a little while, I said, what are we doing right? What are we doing that we could improve? How are things going? And he said, you know, something a little bit better than minimum wage would be nice. Unfortunately, Mr. Stacy is not with us this evening, but I appreciate his efforts that he gave to the system for so many years, and for his feedback. And I'm glad to be able to make this happen tonight.
Anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 11, general discussion.
I have the enrollment, I'd like to point out a few things for that, if you want me to do it now or whenever you'd like to do it.
Let's do it now.
You have a sheet that shows the August 14th enrollment for today, the 5th school day. And it's by school, by grade, and shows the end of year, last year total for that school and the difference in that. I'd like to point out 2 or 3 things for you in this. The growth, as of today, was 502. I know earlier in the week it was like 431, so it's still changing somewhat each day. Jeff Sandvik did a little bit of analysis for us. The K-6 growth, and because of Musselburgh City School and some of the readjusting, the new school there, is near 0%, not a lot of growth in elementary, but our K-12, our 7-12 growth is a little over 3%. So probably the overall growth for both Musselburgh City and us in the elementary will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of that 3% too, because typically it doesn't vary much between those grade levels. Another thing or two that I might I'll ask you to look at, if you'll look down at the grade 5, is across the top at the very bottom line, you can see a number there, 2,709. That's how many fifth graders enrolled. And there's our sixth grade enrollment, 3,106. So approximately for this year, what that typically indicates that we've gotten about 400 of the Musselburgh City School fifth grade students decided to come to us for sixth grade. That's basically what you're looking at, because you can look at the numbers and see the pattern across there. As you look to seventh grade, you see, again, there's going to be, if it follows the same pattern, close to another 600 that will come next year when, of course, Musselburgh City does not have a seventh grade. But that's how we kind of know, how we can see that growth. Another thing, talking about when we have overall CREEK and the growth, probably one of the things, if you'll look at the Blackman Elementary enrollment change at minus 186, and at the Browns Chapel change of a minus 41, there's about 227 less in those two schools, and that's probably a lot of overall CREEK. I know Blackman Elementary was hoping maybe we can get out of the portals back in the building and get some teachers that's been on carts, back in classrooms. So hopefully this is one of the things we were hoping, to cut down that rapid growth. Although you're still seeing 879 students at Blackman Elementary, which is still a large elementary school. I hope you'll notice another thing too, because you were involved in zoning last year. Look at your Whitworth-Buchanan line, if you'll take a quick look at that, and you see they have grown by 74 students. So that at about 25 per classroom, that's about 3 classroom growth for them. You'll also see a little bit of decline there, which is, I think, result of zoning at Oakland Middle School and Rockville Middle School, as you look at that. And it's a little bit there at the Christiana Middle School also. That's part of that zoning, so you can begin to see it work. That's what I'm saying there. I would point your attention, if you'll take a look at Stewart's Creek High School. As of today, they're up 1,381 students over the end of last year. Part of that is, if you remember, we had 2 years of the grandfathering involved in this. So this is the second year this year. So they're very likely to grow a considerable number again next year. Mr. Zago pointed out to me today, if they have the same growth next year, if they have 722 today, and they grow another 300 to 400 next year, they may very well be our largest high school in Rutherford County by the end of next year. So I'm kind of glad we didn't open that up a lot of outside enrollment, because typically if we grant exemptions as a freshman, we let them stay till seniors. So that school may get crowded in a hurry for us, So it's just kind of interesting to see that. While we're talking a little bit about that, Mr. Murray is here with us tonight. If you'll look at Stewart's Creek Elementary and Stewart's Creek Middle, their growth this year, and it's not zoning or anything associated with that's up 102. So we know about some additional development in their schools area. So in 1 year, you start getting 100 in those two schools in 1 year, and very quickly, we're going to have some issues at Stewart's Creek Elementary, Middle, and High School. I mean, you can kind of see those numbers. Eagleville continues to grow. People said, did you need to add on to Eagleville and do that? And their growth is up 79. They've taken several zoning exemptions, which has helped a little bit in the Rockville area and some of the others. And In fact, we've told Mr. Todd, hey, you better hold up on some zoning exemptions in certain grade structures here. As you go over it, we have to add teachers to it, till you know, the additions are completed and that sort of things. But you see the growth there also. Hopefully now, Blackman Middle may be a little bit under that 1,300 that we were afraid of. He is showing 1,232 right now. I think there'll be a little bit more growth, but earlier on, we were kind of worried that that might hit 1,300, but it looks like still on schedule for sometime in September to go in those new classrooms. But it looks like we've got a little bit more breathing room than we've had there before. My estimation is that probably Murfreesboro City Schools will probably grow by 400 or 500 this year. I'm taking that 200 and something that's really from Browns Chapel and Blackman Elementary. I'm seeing a few more sixth graders this year. We typically have been getting close to 50% of the sixth graders that may have stayed with the city. I think the city's done some things that probably has kind of aided that particular some of that shift. One is they did rezone their whole district this year, and they went back to more of a neighborhood schools concept. So that's very attractive to parents again. So I think you have a few more sixth graders and people that may have stayed because it's more the neighborhood school. Certainly the overall Creek, New Bricks draw and that sort of thing is certainly attractive in that. You know, and I think the third option that may have involved in that is that free lunch and breakfast. I think probably for some students, probably attracted them too, when you consider a family in that. I learned something this morning early. I was here, Mr. Blair was here, and we were getting our cup of coffee and talking this morning before school with Mr. Sandy, and he pointed out a fact that I did not know about the adopting where you pay for all the lunches. And of course, we didn't have a high enough percentage to cover it. But he said there's another piece that, again, the first time I've heard, there's a multiplier that goes into the formula about how much money you get if you do that. And that comes out of Washington. So the multiplier for this year is 1.6. The multiplier for next year is 1.5. The multiplier for the year after that is 1.4. So what you can kind of see is a typical Washington thing that very quickly, what's going to happen over a span of a few years here, Washington tends to start the program and turn it back over to locals. So I think a number of districts are going to be very concerned if something doesn't happen there, that they're going to see decreasing support from Washington for that lunch program. So that's just information that I did not know, but learned this morning, so I'm sharing it with you. What you think about it? If you have any questions or anything else, be fine.
Mr. Jordan?
Holloway, I noticed that we've got about 50 additional students starting the year at Holloway.
That number is comparing to the end of the year, Mr. Jernigan. Of course, they have them. See, they do a mid-year completion also. So much of your change there is probably kind of an anomaly in that those December graduates, because we do a full year, you said compacted calendar. So a lot of that is probably accounted for the fact that you had lots of graduates at December, and so they don't show up on the end of the year number. But she's been very active and open to people that are seeking to go to Holloway. And I called her today. It doesn't come out until next week, but they've got some phenomenal growth in their ACT scores last year. They got, in fact, they're probably the largest in the system. But they'll see that. That'll come out when that's all made public and released. So.
Well, I was glad to see that increase in numbers. I didn't know. I knew our end of the year number of 84. I believe that's correct. Right. That was a little bit down from what I had expected at the end of the year this past year, and it was good to see it up. And I didn't realize that we had a December graduation.
They typically wait to do their ceremony at the end, but a lot of kids finish their total number of credits because you can get a full algebra credit or a full English 4 credit by December. You know, they operate on that block schedule, so they meet about the same number of hours as a traditional school will in a full year time. So students really take only about 3 courses at a time versus 6 or 7 at a traditional high school. So it's that block schedule design that lets that happen.
That's good.
Anyone else?
I noticed in the analysis of our fund balance in the agenda, and we covered this very, very well, but one of the things that I was happy to see was that our revenue stream is fairly balanced between sales tax and property tax. I think it's one of the characteristics across Rutherford County that we have viable agriculture in Rutherford County. We have excellent industry in Rutherford County. We have service opportunities. We have education. We have higher education. The balance in Rutherford County is one of our absolute strengths. The transportation, whether it's rail or you know, the highway, that one's a little tough, or even through the air. The balance is really key, and as we continue to plan for the future, I think it's critical that we keep that in mind. Additional revenue sources, but keeping things balanced. And so I thought that was a real good example of that as we looked at the fund balance.
Please shop Rutherford County.
Please shop Rutherford County. That's right. Yeah,
Another P.
it's important.
Mr. Difford?
I know we're coming to the end, and I just want to say with a sad heart, but yet a joyous heart in my new adventure that I've enjoyed working with this board. I think this is an exceptional board that we have shown the state that we can be number one, that it takes a lot of hard work, and I'm glad and honored to be a part of that. I would also like to say that we have one of the best staff, support people, support groups here in the state. I'm honored to work with them, and I'm also blessed to have them guide me in various things that we have done as a board. Most of all, secondly, I also want to say how much I appreciate Ms. Michaels for all of her guidance, all of her support, and all of her time that she has taken with me to help me in filling out paperwork and everything else to get it right. I also want to thank Mr. Odom, who has been a steady rock here at the board. He's been one who you can look up to. You can know when he speaks that is the truth. I also want to thank every board member here, especially this man right here who has sat on my side and helped me over these last 2 years. He's been a rock and a steady voice to me. I just want to tell everybody how much I appreciate you and thank you.
Mr. Nipper, we're going to recognize you here in just a second. As I said the other night, and I'll say it again, I just want to congratulate Mr. Holliday and Mr. Blair on their reappointments, and Mr. Nipper on his new endeavor, the county commission. And we've got our 2 new board members out in the audience, Mr. Jim Estes and Miss Lisa Moore. So glad y'all are here. Tonight, I'd like to recognize 3 board members going off the board. And I'd just like to say that, you know, I believe everybody can attest to it. It's a hard job up here. And we make a lot of tough decisions, or have to make a lot of tough decisions that probably affect every resident in this county at one time or another. And I would just like to recognize the 3 board members at this time. And we've got a plaque here. And first off, I'd like to call Mr. Nipper and just thank Mr. Nipper for his 2 years to the school board, and look forward to having you on the county commission. Basically, the plaque says in appreciation to David Nipper, member of Rutherford County School Board of Education, September 1st, 2012 through August 31st, 2014, who provided unselfish devotion and service to the students, teachers, and citizens of Rutherford County, presented by Rutherford County Board of Education. Marvin D. Odom, Director, Terry Hodge, Board Chair, Wayne Blair, Vice Chair, Gary Eakes, Aaron Holiday, Donald Jernigan, and Coy Young.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to get to call Mr. Eakes up, Mr. Gary Eakes. Mr. Eakes joined our board last year, after Mr. Tackett, joined the staff out here. So, Mr. Eakes, yours says the same thing, I'll read it again. Appreciation to Gary Eakes, member of Rutherford County Board of Education, December 13th, 2013 through August 31st, 2014, who provided unselfish devotion and service to the students, teachers, and citizens of Rutherford County, presented by Rutherford County Board of Education. Marvin D. Odom, Director of Schools, Terry Hodge, Board Chair, Wayne Blair, Vice Chair, Aaron Holiday, Donald Jernigan, David Nipper, and Coy Young.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just let me share in what Mr. Nipper said. As I looked around the room, I double-checked, and I think I'm the oldest person in this room. Now, there may be one or two that have some facial hair that might challenge me, but and I've been around education, grew up here, knew school superintendents forever, knew people on the staff. Of course, it's grown tremendously, but we do have a marvelous staff. And this board does a wonderful job, but 99% of it goes to the staff that we have. Mr. Odom's staff, the staff here that guides those teachers, those principals. So that's where it's all done, and that's where the thanks should go. You know, it's been a pleasure. It really has. I've learned a lot, and I've met some very nice people and some very hard-working people. Thank you all.
The last one, Mr. Donald Jernigan. Mr. Jernigan, as everyone knows, he was on the board, what, 8 years?
Yes, sir.
And he came back with us after Miss Blankenship passed away. And, as I said, 8 years before, it was a pleasure, and I sure appreciate you stepping in this time. You've got a lot of years of service with the school system here, being a former principal, and you definitely guide us a lot. So I just want to thank you for that. So yours basically in appreciation of Donald L. Jernigan, member of Rutherford County Board of Education, April 21st, 2014 to August 31st, 2014, who provided unselfish devotion and service to the students, teachers, and citizens of Rutherford County, presented by Rutherford County Board of Education. Marvin D. Odom, Director of Schools, Terry Hodge, Board Chair, Wayne Blair, Vice Chair, Gary Eakes, Aaron Holiday, David Nipper, and Coy Young. I appreciate it.
I would like to say just a few words, and it is that, yes, it's been a lot of years since 1966 when I started with the school system, and I can truly look back very fondly of those years and appreciative of the fact of what Rutherford County Education has done for me and my family. And I am deeply appreciative of that now and then, and it's certainly been a pleasure to work with, continue to work with fine people as sitting on this board and the staff itself. I consider it an honor to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can we give a standing ovation for these 3 board members?
I'd just like to once again thank each of you for your dedication to not only the teachers, the students, the staff, but most of all, the citizens of Rutherford County. Anybody have anything else?
I'm probably totally out of place, but one of the things that we do sometimes with new teachers when we start their year, we did it with their first session this year, we have a teacher that came up and sometimes it's a teacher's just finished a year, and we asked him, is there anything that you want to tell us? I wish I had known when I started. You know, I'd just be curious if any of you have anything that stands out in your mind about board, or any existing still board members. It's kind of, we got 2 new board members in the audience and that sort of thing, so, any thoughts?
Well, the only thought I have that I want to convey to the new ones is that to trust and lean on your other board members, that they have been around, they know, basically they know the road, and they will and can guide you to help avoid making mistakes. That is the biggest thing.
Well, I just, again, Mr. Nipper mentioned the support we get from Joyce, from Chris, from staff members. Anytime we have a question and we need an answer, we've got somebody that can give us an answer, and so that makes your job a whole lot easier. There are a few things I had to ask about. I think one thing that maybe would improve if you're going to be on TV is sometimes we use acronyms for something that others don't understand, and we understand what BEP is perhaps. But so we need to, if we're trying to bring everybody on board and fully understand what we're talking about, then maybe we need to spell out the words instead of just the acronyms that we use. But I came to several board meetings some time ago, and as I say, I've fairly well kept up. And I do have one other thing. What month of the year is your birthday, Donald Jernigan? I won't ask what year, what month?
October.
October, then I am correct. I am the oldest person in it. Donald and I went to school together for a long, long, long time and started to school together. So we both look like we're just about 50 now.
Anyone else?
I think, as I look back from the very beginning, I think one of the things that I needed to keep in mind, that whatever the problem was that came up in the school system, there was several solutions to it, and our goal was to try to determine the best solution. That because someone else has an idea different than mine doesn't make their idea wrong. You know, you need to, I needed to really listen to their idea, because it could be the right one. And that was something that you just have to work on all the time, or I did.
I think an amazing, and maybe, I don't know if amazing or ironic is appropriate, but how our paths continue to cross over the years. Mr. Jernigan was a teacher at Thurman Francis when I was in junior high, and Mr. Zago was a teacher at David Urey when my children were in school, and you were our principal. So it's just, again, I guess it's amazing how we continue to cross paths years later in different aspects, either from the board or some other professional walk. But that continues to be a cool thing in my life, to keep having a relationship with people that I respect so much as I do you. So, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, once again, to you three, I'd like to say thank you. And invite you to come back and guide us any way you can. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned.